Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea Radio, where we interview awesome singer songwriters and those who influence their lives. Spill the Tea Radio explores the journey, creativity, and inspiration behind the songs. My next guest is an across the board artist. Her compositions range from Dora award winning plays to commissions for art installations and audiobook pieces to corporate commercials. She is a member of the JUNO nominated band, the Wilderness of Manitoba. Her style has been described as a melodic blend with intriguing lyrics, airy vocals, and mellow instrumentation, combining the folk music of the past with more contemporary alternative influences. So, let's spill the tea with Victoria Carr. Welcome, Victoria.
Thank you for having me.
You are most welcome. You have a diverse skill set that is, as I said, it's across the board. Not a usual find in artists that are singers, songwriters. Most people will stick to one particular area, but you've branched out into a number of areas. First of all, let's talk about the songs for the plays, because I've interviewed people that, of course, are singer-songwriters that produce albums or perform. I've interviewed composers that do music for plays. You do both. Help us understand what's the different process when you're composing music for a play as opposed to when you're composing music for your own singer-songwriting career?
That's a really nice question. I think it's a little bit similar to maybe a cooking process. If you are happy in a kitchen, the same way that I am happy when I'm surrounded by instruments that I know how to play, you can follow a recipe. And you can follow a recipe to make something that you've done several times before. You can make a risotto with completely different ingredients because you found a recipe that looks different and interesting. Or you can make what you know how to make and you can tweak it because you know which way you want to move with it. Or you can decide, I don't feel like risotto at all. I feel like curry. I feel like ramen. And so for me, the difference is I'm not a very good cook, so maybe that's not the best the best example I can give. But writing for theater is sort of like being given a direction, and then getting to play in a specific direction that feels a lot like sort of coming back to kind of check in with sort of I'm sort of creating, and creating is very much a personal personal experience, but then coming back to check in with, is this still the right direction? Is this still where we want to go with this? And doing everything you can to support what is being written and support what the actors are doing and support what the director is doing and where everything about it is going, which is kind of different because you get a little bit less freedom, but there's a lot of freedom within boundaries.
Let's talk about that rigidity when it comes to writing music. You are a classically trained guitarist. You have attained a high level in piano. Well, let's say you play classical guitar.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
and and you've attained a high level in piano as well. When it comes to writing your music, do you find that the rules that you have learned through music, do they restrict you or do they help you when you're writing?
Oh, 100% they help. 100%. I mean, I am always kicking myself that I don't know more theory than I know. I think the more you know about how things fit together and what the possibilities are, then the more you can explore changing them and trying new things. I would love to study music in India. I'd love to study different kinds of the ways that we fit things together and the way that the ear hear things. Uh, just to understand, okay, well, if that's the way my brain interprets that, and that's why I like this specific kind of harmony, well, what happens if I tweak it? I mean,
Mhm.
that's where I think the creativity is the best.
Victoria, you have a hearing impairment, which many people would be astonished to find out and still be able to produce the music that you produce. How do you how do you work around a hearing impairment and still produce amazing music?
Well, to start with, I have to give you a tiny correction, which is that yes, I am hearing impaired, but it doesn't prevent me from hearing the frequencies of the music that I'm creating. What it does mean is that I really enjoy, because I can't hear a lot of things and because I have to do a little bit more work than the average person to make sure that I'm understanding people when they talk to me. It means that when I can hear things without having to do the work, it's a luxury. It's a joy to go and see a movie in theaters or to go to IMAX and have that massive wall of sound come at me is a it makes me tear up. It's so lovely to be bathed in sound without having to think about it. And so one of my favorite things to do is to play classical guitar, especially in the lower registers, because I can feel the vibrations in my chest. And so does it change the way I write music? I don't think it changes what I enjoy when I hear music, but certainly I think it adds to the different scales that I would tune my guitar to, especially when I'm just noodling around, when I'm just making music for the sake of puttering. And I will definitely go to the lower registers and I enjoy a long sustained low D or a low A that I then add things and layer things on top of because I can feel it resonating while I'm playing things on top.
You have traveled through Europe and you did a little bit of busking over there. First of all, tell us what is the difference between the music vibe and the music scene in Europe as opposed to the music scene here in North America?
Oh, I don't know if I'm an expert in answering that question, but I can try. Um, and again, I haven't traveled that much within Canada. I've traveled honestly a lot more outside of Canada than I have within Canada. So, I mean, I can tell you the difference between my experiences in Europe and Southern Ontario. But I bet if you were coming from the East Coast, you would feel awfully different to what I'm about to say, which is that personally, and it's a little bit depressing for me, but I find the music scene here has gotten really kind of squashed in the sense that it's so hard to be an artist and live in the city these days.
Mhm.
To be able to afford to even to be able to afford to put on a show is really difficult. You can sell out a show at some of the nice venues here and still not be able to afford to pay your musicians a decent wage, like not a lot, but a decent wage. And I think that really colors my perspective of it. I don't think that's true across the board at all. I'm sure that my experience is not universal, but certainly in Europe, one of the things that I appreciated, and maybe this was because I wasn't trying to do the business side of organizing music so much, but I do love, like, I love a good Irish trad session. I mean, who doesn't? You walk into a bar and it's whoever showed up on a Monday evening at sort of 9 p.m. to have a pint of Guinness and play spoons for 3 hours, and they're really supportive of each other. And and we are here as well. I do appreciate the kind of the different ways that we create community. I think it's really interesting.
A pint of Guinness for 3 hours of spoon playing? I don't.
They have a zero tolerance alcohol policy when it comes to driving in Ireland. They are very, very strict about it.
I'm sure it's very liberal when you're the alcohol tolerance when you're playing the spoons, though. You're echoing a sentiment from an artist that I recently interviewed who played a fair bit in France. And she said they would book her in for a gig on a Monday night. And she said, Monday night? Who the heck's going to show up on a Monday night at a venue in France? And she said well, she would go and the place would be packed, as opposed to here in Southern Ontario, Toronto, where it's basically a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Did you find that as well?
I did, although I have to admit, I am also guilty, especially this couple of weeks where we've had such cold that I have very, very little desire to go out on a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday, Friday, if I'm being very honest. It's not the kind of year or the time of year that I want to be venturing out. So maybe they have an advantage over us there.
So it might have a great deal to do with the climate and that Gulf Stream that washes over the European area, helps them go out. Yes, absolutely. It's tough to get out there when it's minus 17 and a wind chill factor on top of that.
Yeah.
You did a little bit of busking in Europe. Tell us about that experience. What was that like?
I mean, I would agree with your previous interviewee who was in France. I think the people are wonderful. The atmosphere is kind. It's a spirit of we help each other and we show up for each other, and people are interested to get to know you, and you just meet a lot of interesting people. And of course, some of that is always going to be the rose-colored glasses of just being somewhere different. I'm not at my local, and isn't that nice? But it's really nice to have the reminders that everything is happening everywhere all at once. It's good.
Well, you are a very fortunate individual that has so many things that they can do. We mentioned in the intro, you write for theater, you write for yourself. You've worked with corporate commercials. All of this stuff doesn't happen out of the gate. You need to work at it. You need to develop those relationships and the networking. What advice do you have for a young artist that's coming out of, has studied piano through grade 10, they have their Royal Conservatory certificate on the wall, and they want to be a musician? Is it your advice to stick with the music, go down one path and focus on it, or be more diverse?
Oh, I don't think there's ever one answer to that. I think the times in my life when I've kicked myself for not just choosing one thing and sticking with it are easily overcome by all of the times that I realize, yeah, but I'm having such a good time. I'm having such a good time. Yeah, I haven't had time to do theater anymore, but I'm having such a good time doing what I'm doing. Even the parts of my life that are the most work, I think I have so much fun enjoying the challenge of the work that to me the answer is always just say yes to what you feel you should say yes to. If something is on the table or you have an opportunity to do something, just say yes. And if it doesn't work out, you can say no later, or you can, realize, actually that's going to be burning the wick at both ends. Maybe that's not reasonable, but within reason, if there's an opportunity coming your way, and if you have to seek them out, you have to do that work too. But just saying yes seems to have gone pretty well for me so far.
Let's get into one of the songs that Victoria wrote. This song was produced by Graham Stairs and recorded by Luke Schindler at Revolution Recording in Toronto. Let's take a listen to singer-songwriter Victoria Carr and her song, New Year's Eve.
She's somewhere over the Atlantic. There's even an app to track the squalls. How long have I known you? How long have I been waiting? Have I misremembered it all? Does she have a window seat? Will it be clear over Labrador? I put the wine in the garden to chill. It's New Year's Eve and I cannot be still. I don't know anything I didn't know last year. Still the same impatience, still trying to find the cadence. But you found me or I found you, and that still seems far-fetched. And she's seen the most selfish parts of me and she hasn't left yet. Maybe we'll make it another year, another 10. I'm just
was New Year's Eve by Victoria Carr. Victoria, tell us what that song is about and what was the inspiration to write it.
The song is about the anticipation of somebody you've been really missing coming back, and all of the good feelings that come when you're, waiting for the clock hands to move. And the inspiration was 2021, so knee deep in COVID, and I was living in a coach house, which at the time was buried in the snow because it was just after Christmas. So it was a little tiny kind of garage converted into a really great living space for one person. And I was waiting for my partner to come back from being at home for the holidays. We'd only been together for 6 months, and I had cleaned the apartment, and I'd got flowers, and I'd got wine, and I needed the wine to chill, but I had, a little tiny fridge because I was just living by myself. So I had to stick it in the snowbank, and then everything was clean and there was nothing else to do. And I was sort of just jittery with excitement. And so I just sat down and picked up a guitar and thought, right, well, I've got to kill sort of 4 more hours until I go to the airport. So I better just try and waste some time. And that was one of those songs that came out all in one go. It was a lot of fun.
Victoria, how do people find out more about you and your music? What's the website? What are the socials and the streaming platforms?
The website is victoriacarr.ca, C-A-R-R. My Instagram, everything on social media is at Victoria Carr Music, all one word. And you can follow me there. You can reach out. I am usually posting ridiculous things. Sometimes I post ridiculous cats. You never know. There's music sometimes, I swear.
We have been in conversation with Victoria Carr. Victoria, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Does she have